Hi, Catherine. So nice to
Hi.
meet you. Your first time here.
Yes, yes, it feels good to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for coming from my office. So, how are you doing today?
Well, I was really good friends. I guess I'm like navigating this I guess end of friendship. I was friends with this girl, and then now we're like there was a big incident that happened, and basically it was like a big deal, and it's kind of cramping my days a little bit, I guess you could say. This makes me sad.
No, I can see that. I can see that. That it makes you sad. Would you like to talk more about her, about the incident,
Yeah.
or where you are
Um,
right now?
yeah, like so basically, I went through a medical procedure, and she was supposed to come over my place and um make a medical procedure with me, or make a GoFundMe to help save up money for this medical
Mhm.
procedure because I couldn't really afford it. And she started this like weird tiff earlier on in the day. Like we were supposed to like make it like a girls' night, make it fun, kind of take away the emotional stress out of it, because the procedure's already a lot. And she instead started this weird tiff and was like, I'm not going to hang out with you tonight. And instead, she created the GoFundMe at her boyfriend's house. But so fast forward, just to make a long story short, what I didn't know is that she put all the account information under her name. So when I went to go get money out after my everything was done, I was not able to get the money out without her approval, and she denied the approval. So she tried taking over $1,000 from me.
Wow. So I see that you feel betrayed. Is it fair to say that?
Yeah, I would say betrayed is a appropriate word. It's almost like a shock, you know? And I tried talking to her about it. I was like, "Can you please, approve this? Can you please switch it back in my name?" Like I had no idea everything was in her name.
Mm-hmm.
So, like even the password, like I couldn't get in. Like, and the password was literally her name. And for like my account, it was wild, I found out. But to get the whole thing resolved, the GoFundMe lawyers actually had to get involved.
Wow.
And that was literally the last time I ever spoke of her and spoke to her because she refused to give me the money.
And this friendship was very important to you, I assume.
Well, we went camping out, like we were friends for over 4 years.
4 years.
4 years,
Mm-hmm.
over four.
Sure.
It was probably going on 5 years, really. So it just kind of feels like, when you've been friends with somebody for like that long, and it's like in a time you need them most, like how could you do that? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So
So it sounds like you were grieving the loss of the friendship, the loss of the trust, and the loss of the money.
I ended up getting the money, but I guess it's just
Oh,
like
mm-hmm.
I did end up getting the money from the lawyers, due to the lawyers' involvement. But I
Mm-hmm.
did have to like prove who I was. I had to prove that I actually got the surgery. I had to go through all of this identification basically, and it had to get relinquished from her due to lawyers' involvement. But yeah, I would say like, grieving her is very accurate. You know, like I remember, I don't know. It's one of those things you just would not expect. And then it happened, like you, like never in a million years, like would I have been like prepared for her behaviors to be like that? And sometimes I wonder, was it influenced under her boyfriend? Because she went under her boyfriend's.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and then at that same time, they were planning on putting a down payment on a house all of a sudden. So were those like the influencing variables, and they saw like a chunk of money arise. But never in a million years would I have thought that she would have done what she did. So it's just hard, I guess, like with with friends and like trusting people, because this isn't like a friendship of like 4 months. It's like over 4.5 years,
Mm-hmm. So it's about trust, about disappointment.
Disappointment, as you said earlier, betrayal, grief. There's a lot of mixed emotions.
Yeah, I see your eyes wondering when you talk about these emotions. Tell me more how you feel right now in terms of your relationships, in terms of sadness, in terms of grief. Let's start with your other friendships.
Okay. My other friendships are good. They're strong. They're positive. Like there's definitely a strong strength and like some of my oldest friendship I've known since I was 14, and my second oldest I've known since I was 19.
Mm-hmm.
I would say there's a strong sisterhood I am very happy to be connected with. So I think when it comes to this friend, it's like you think like, oh, you know, um, I don't know. It's just like there's just so much unexpected, it's just like a shock. The grief is like more of like like a like how do like what like processing her would be processing not seeing her again, or not spending time with her again, not going on another hike again, not trying out a new restaurant again, or going to festivals again. And when in reality, I thought she would be somebody that was going to be in my life for a huge part of my life. And if she wasn't going to be in my life for a huge part of my life, I thought maybe like, it's just people just grow apart. Sometimes they're just in their life for different seasons, but I would not think it would just, end the way it did like that with lawyers.
Yeah, I hear that was really traumatic, having lawyers involved and having to deal with the situation through them is not exactly the ideal way of dealing with a friendship or ending a friendship. So actually, you never had, and correct me if I'm wrong, I have the impression that you never had a proper closure.
Now, since you bring that up, like I don't think so, because like I contacted GoFundMe went through their whole process.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go through the whole process. And yeah, I don't think we kind of just didn't talk ever again. Like, so I don't know what came up on her end. Like I don't know if she got in trouble. I don't know. But it was weird because in that time frame, I found out some other things that she lied to me about. So like, it made me question, I guess you could say, a lot, I guess, of who she was, like her character. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And I was like, maybe I didn't really know her this whole entire time, you know? So that was kind of like weird, because I was like, oh wow, like this whole time, like she shared the story and of her of an incident she ran into the cops, but her side of the story was that she was a victim of
Mhm.
like this incidents with the cops and like da 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 and around. But when I read the actual police report, she was driving under the influence, blew through a stop sign, speeding in a place where like you shouldn't be doing it, and she was basically running from the cops. So I'm like I don't know. That's like those are two very different stories. Do you
Yeah,
get what I'm
true.
saying? So it's like, but like how, and I never thought to ever look it up or anything, but I was like, we were friends for 4.5 years and we talked about this story so many times, and I like literally
Mhm.
believe this that she it was a totally different story. You know what I mean? It's like I don't understand how could you lie so well for 4.5 years. I guess I'm just dumbfounded. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it's like that's crazy.
It
Not
seems to me,
crazy.
I'm sorry for interrupting you. I was going to say, it seems to me it was not the only lie. It seems there's a pattern of dishonesty there.
Yes, that's what I was concluding. So it just things started coming out and I just kind of was like, so yeah, I don't have interest in being any friends anymore.
Mhm.
But I guess it's just like when you built this friendship and it kind of was built on distrust or what you thought was trust, but there's really like lies or deceit
Mhm.
or maybe not even the full truth. Like it makes you question the whole friendship was like what was true. Like, was I actually a really good friend? Or were you just being friends with me because I paid for some of your stuff every now and then? You know?
I see you're
So,
questioning yourself as a good friend.
no, I'm questioning her motives toward
Her
me of
motives.
befriending
Okay.
her
Mhm.
motives for me of
To be your
befriending
friend.
me.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like, was she more using me or did she actually want to be my friend? Because her behavior at the end, that's not what a friend would do.
Definitely. These lies that you mentioned,
Hmm.
did they start before or you found out about this after this GoFundMe incident?
I found out after.
After. So
Yes, I
before the
had no idea.
GoFundMe incident, you had no clue.
No idea. No idea.
I wonder if you're not a little angry at yourself because of that.
I thought maybe I like would be, but like it was a total there was literally no signs. Like she
Mhm.
didn't give me a reason to not believe her or not trust her. Does that make sense?
Total.
So when
Mhm.
there wasn't a reason, like I never looked into anything.
Mhm.
Well, I think if I maybe saw like,
Sorry.
oh, you're good. If I saw like more, if there's more writing on the walls, then I think I'd be more angry at myself. But like there wasn't.
That's great. You should not be blaming yourself or calling yourself a victim or seeing yourself as a victim because you were just a good friend.
And it felt really, really weird advocating for my own money for my GoFundMe. Like I felt like I was almost emotionally trying to cater to her needs because it took me a month before I got the lawyers involved. And then it came to the point where it's like, well, what if she takes it out, basically, right?
Mhm.
Her for her own self, because that's what because and when I realized she wasn't approving me, I was like, okay, this is
Uh-huh.
problematic.
Let's talk more about this difficulty to advocate for yourself. You had been betrayed by a friend that you trusted, of course. You needed the money. She knew you needed the money, and it was not for anything, it was for surgery, so, or a medical procedure. So it was something really serious. So let's see why it took you so long, let's say, to react.
Well, I first needed the money because like, and I like let her know. And then I forgot what her response was, but it was like really dismissive. And then I tried getting in, and then she kept saying, "Oh, the password's this." And every time I went in, it wasn't the password. So it was kind of basic, like maybe I'm typing it in wrong kind of a thing. And then she'd be like, "Oh, well, I don't know what to tell you," type of a thing. And I was like, this is like very strange. And then I was telling her, I'm like, well, I'm only on like short-term disability. I need to pay my rent, you know, and these medical bills. So I was like, and then like fast forward a few weeks, I was like, hey, like I need the money like now. Um, it keeps saying I keep getting an email. She started saying she never got the email. So she's saying like, and then I would literally, so I started screenshotting what was on my end. I was like, well, it says you are. And I said, if I don't hear back, and she goes, oh, well, I'm on vacation. Can't deal with it now. That's what she wrote me.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, that's fine. Then I'm going to contact GoFundMe directly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I contacted GoFundMe directly. So I gave it like, it was more like it started off in the beginning as like, you know, I don't know. I guess you could say like it was almost like gaslighting. She was gaslighting me, like, oh, you're just typing it in wrong. You're just doing this. You're just doing that. This is why it's not working. It's your fault. No, she just literally changed the password and everything.
And you were believing in her.
Well, then I wasn't believing her because then it said like when it said it was sent to an email, it was her email.
Wow.
So that's why I was like, what? So that's when I was like, that's weird, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I think I'm like, okay, no, yeah.
Okay, but you got your money back, and that's great.
I did get the money, yes.
So what we do now is to deal with this grief that is very natural. After all, it was somebody that you trusted, somebody that you thought was going to be in your life for the, I don't know, for the rest of your life. That was a good friend that betrayed you, disappointed you in such an important moment. So how do you feel right now? I'm so sorry. God, just let me mute it.
Um, I feel good. It feels good to talk about it. It feels good to navigate it. I think that's one of the things that's just like processing it, you know,
Mhm.
like getting it out.
Have you ever experienced this kind of grief before in your life?
Not like someone stealing money from me, but I've definitely experienced grief. Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds like you are connecting the grief with her stealing the money. Would it be fair to say that the grief is actually connected to the loss of the relationship?
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it's also tied to the betrayal level.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's a loss in your
Yeah.
life, right? When someone
Yeah.
dies, it's a loss. When we lose a pet, it's a loss. And in this case, you lost a relationship. So how could you deal better with that? Do you think you are processing it? Do you have a plan? Do you have goals?
Well, I mean, I have my friends that I like lean on and I'm still like really active. It's just like sometimes um there's just like an immense, I guess, sadness, you know, when I think of her
Mm-hmm.
and like, you know, that place she once filled, you know. So, yeah, you know, and that's, I guess, what the reality is. And I think I'm just trying to move forward. And what does it look like to accept that, you know? And maybe it's looks like getting out more or building new connections. Um, or just reminding myself. I've been making room for also more self-care and just being still and honoring the
That's
emotion.
great. Mm-hmm.
Because I've just been trying to like witness my own self, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and because I just want to like let it go, you know.
Yeah, you seem to be on a healthy path to
Yeah,
overcome this.
I'm trying. It's just overwhelming at times, you know.
I wonder, and I might be wrong, if this episode did not, deep inside, if you did not re-examine your other relationships a little bit.
If I didn't re-examine my other relationships,
Yeah, you told me that you did not expect it from this girl, and that's why you were so shocked. You trusted her, and she betrayed you, and you were in shock. You never expected it from her. I would assume that you would not expect this kind of, at least, disappointment from your other friends, your other relationships. Have you ever re-examined your other relationships? Kind of
yeah, I actually have.
possible. Mm-hmm.
I actually have. And I would say that there was actually a few other relationships during that time that I decided that I was like, I could like that may not be the most healthiest. I mean, they weren't my best friends, like they weren't like my ride and dies, like how but the ones my core friends, they're solid as a rock. Like um like you could call them and they'll like at any point and they'll like pick up and like vice versa, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you're stopping through the area, it's an open door policy. You know, it's just like they're there to rejoice with you, they're there to cry with you, they're there, you know, there's a lot of rich history between us, you know. But there was a few other friendships, like when she happened, I did let go of a few other friendships. Just because it wasn't what I was looking for in my life anymore.
So this disappointment made you rethink other friendships and other things in your life.
I think it's not so much the friendship. I think it's also the medical procedure too. You realize life is really short and time is really valuable. And energy is worth protecting.
Yeah. So in the end, it was a positive thing.
So it's just like you can't just give everything to everybody. And that's just the hard truth. And after that, I was like, well, you know, I just reassessed and not everyone made the cut. Just ship them on their way, you know? So, yeah, you know, it's like and I wasn't as super like attached to like some of those other friendships for some rhyme or reason of certain characteristics that were displayed or previous boundary crossing, you know, that made
Mm-hmm.
me feel uncomfortable. So I didn't want to invest any more energy at that point, especially when I was already grieving from this one major loss, you know? Like
So
I wasn't in a
I'm sorry.
headspace. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, I wasn't in headspace to just keep reapplying boundaries. I'd rather just surround myself with people who already respected them.
So you had a great loss and you have small losses after that.
I would say it's definitely probably more focused on the great loss. The small
Mhm.
losses, they almost just came in indifferent, I guess. In comparison, it's just, yeah. But she was definitely the big loss.
What do you think about human beings? Because we are all fallible, right? We can all fail, we can all disappoint each other. So when I hear you saying that these other friendships are solid, they are 100%, I wonder if there's a little room there for disappointment without you having to be without you having to necessarily cut the relationship. What do you think?
No, when I say things are 100% and solid, I mean, there's been so many years that we are friends through
Mm-hmm.
all seasons. Like, so we've been through tiffs and toughs and this and that, but like, we have very healthy ways of communication with one another.
Right.
So I think as long as there's healthy communication, there's a common respect, there's an acceptance of each other. Like I know my friends pretty well, and they know me pretty well, and they know like my own boundaries and I know theirs, and we do what we can. I mean, are we perfect? No, sometimes you know, but like, let's say I meet somebody who is continually exhibiting signs of crossing boundaries. That's fine. They could be that, but I'm not going to place myself in their direction.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it's not my job to teach. It's not my job to keep reapply my own boundaries. You know, that's a self-work thing. And just, does that make sense? So, yeah. So I just think that everyone's on their own healing journey and everyone's in their own, and you cross paths with different beautiful people, and sometimes they stay for a long time and sometimes they stay for a short time. But I think it's beautiful to practice like with the now,
Mm-hmm.
staying present in the now and just embracing the other person for who they are.
Great. That's absolutely great. Tell me more how this sadness, you told me that right now, after all this happened, and we already past that point, that you still sometimes have a feeling of sadness. Tell me more how this sadness affects your day, if it does.
I wouldn't say it affects me daily. I would say it's like once a month or something, I'll think about it. Something that reminds me of her, you know, that weird remembrance. You're just like,
Mm-hmm.
I used to go from texting every day throughout the whole entire day to just nothing, just zoom, so.
And do you think that this is the natural process of grieving? I mean, you're going through the natural process of grieving because we cannot grieve forever, or is just a defense mechanism kind of canceling her memories?
I feel like it's more natural because I think it's like, after some time, like when it first happened, like if anything, I don't think I'm canceling. Sometimes I wish I could cancel more. Does that make sense? Like,
makes sense. I understand, because by canceling, you cancel the pain as well, but
yeah,
you don't
but
process the pain.
sometimes like when she really hits like the memories, like I'll like, you know, go on her Facebook or something and see, and just, she still has photos of us, like of us up on her Facebook, and I still have photos of her on my Facebook. However, she just recently posted a photo, and it was like of a group photo, and she like cropped me out of the photo.
Wow.
And I think like, especially when it was like like you're the one that like
Mm-hmm.
tried taking over $1,000, and now you're posting a photo cropping me out. Like it's just so much layers of disrespect, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I don't know. Um, but it's just like, you do you. And then, and it's also, I think there's also some wisdom. Like if I was to walk away from wisdom, it's like you can't teach somebody, like if someone doesn't want to take accountability for their own actions,
Mm-hmm.
you can't teach them that. You can't force them to do that. And it's always going to be someone else's problem, right? So, like, I tried, you know, communicating about the money for for a month, and didn't get anywhere. So I had to do something about that, which I let her know that I said, hey, if I don't hear by this date, I have to go here
Mm-hmm.
because I need it. And she, like, I had to do that. So it's like, but if she carries an inability of lack of self-awareness and a lack of a self accountability, and doesn't understand how that could be hurtful to me, then like, you know, like I can't do anything about that. I can't control that. I have to let that go.
I
So
hear that, and I heard you saying, well, you told me that you think of her maybe once a month,
yeah,
not,
once a month.
yeah, not on a daily basis, and
No.
you go to Facebook to check on
Yeah,
her and see what's going on.
yeah, that once a month I do. Yeah.
Once a
Yeah.
month, but you do it.
Yeah. I do still hope the best for her, you know? It's
Mm-hmm.
weird. Like it pains me, but like I still hope the best. But it's also weird because I'm like I remember when we were friends, we talked about so much. Like she's gonna become a nurse. She wanted to do this, she wanted to do that. We
Mm-hmm.
went to the gym. Like, you know what I'm saying? None of those things have come to reality for her. And that almost makes me another level of sad because I still want the best for her. Does that make sense? And it's just weird. So yeah. But um, yeah, I
And you
don't know.
still get emotional when you speak about it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, you know, you're letting go. But like I said, it's like how much of was that friendship was actual truth? You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? I don't know. And I can't sit here and try to like pick through it. I think like what also has helped me since it has happened is still like continue the gratitude of the times that were really good, you know? So I'm grateful for the campaign. I'm grateful for this. And um I'm not grateful for how it ended. I guess I could be. I could be grateful for how it ended, but um I mean, there's always a gratitude somewhere, right?
And you
So,
still will be in the future. Who knows?
what's that?
Maybe you still will be grateful in the future. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah, like I think there's a lot to learn from the experience. GoFundMe did write me, and they say like they see a common loss of friendships.
All
So
right.
like what my experience is not uncommon. It's like, it's a, when people see that amount of money,
Mhm.
sometimes things happen. So it's super common, you know?
Okay, let's set some goals.
Okay.
You are in the grieving process. You tell me that you think it's a normal grieving process. Let's set some goals to make sure that you are really letting it go. What would you think that you can change or you can do to go ahead on this path?
I think I can block her. So that way I don't look at her Facebook. So I think I could block her. And then um, I think like just recognizing the, like if she does come up in my head, just allowing myself to process those emotions, but also allowing myself to recognize the good times we had and just kind of like changing the emotional memory
Great,
of how I'm feeling.
great. So we already have two goals. One is more technical, to block her. I honestly thought that you had already blocked her, but you still go to her Facebook, right?
Yeah, I block her, but then that once a month I unblock her and then I reblock.
Ah, so actually the goal is not to unblock her, right?
Yeah,
Ignore her
yeah,
Facebook at all. Okay, do you
yeah,
think you can do it?
yeah. I feel like I'm ready for it, you know?
Good. And working on these emotions, it's not that you'd have to erase her from your memory. You just have to not to be overwhelmed by the negative emotions when you think of her. You can think of her, I thought of her, you set the thought aside and you go do something else.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
No, that sounds really good. Yes. That sounds good.
Okay, so our time is coming to an end. So this is your homework. I want to see the next session. If you did not touch the Facebook, how we are doing, and how
Okay.
you are, yeah, and how you are setting aside these thoughts of her, and how you're processing this grief. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. I
Thank
really
you for
appreciate
coming.
it.
Nice
Yes.
meeting you. Bye bye, Catherine.
Bye.